and I'm bringing to you another treadmill tip series. This time we're going to go into coconut oil. And this is my second time doing this series on my treadmill, where I've got my stand-up desk and my treadmill. I have walked 14 miles or so in the last 3 days on this thing without even realizing it, and it's made me so metabolic. I've been sitting here going, God, why am I so hungry? Like, I feel like I could eat so much more before I go to bed at night. I feel like I've just missed meals, which is awesome. So, coconut oil. I'm going to go into today one of my very favorite things to eat and to put on my body of all times. And I'm going to go into 10 of my favorite uses for coconut oil, all of which I've used in the last 2 weeks. And I'm going to go through it real fast. So you ready? Okay, number one. Coconut oil is amazing to put in your morning coffee. Why? You may have heard of that Bulletproof Coffee by Dave Asprey, and it's the Bulletproof Coffee theory, which is that if you're going to have coffee in the morning or any time, a lot of people have like a really high surge of energy and then they crash and they have like low energy and they have like insulin resistance and diabetes and all kinds of other blood sugar problems, which blood sugar problems is the number one cause of disease in America. So in order to stabilize that so that you have more stable release of caffeine energy throughout the day, the cool thing to do now is to have your coffee in the morning with maybe a tablespoon of coconut oil and maybe like a tablespoon of grass-fed butter, depending on your food sensitivities. I can't have coffee anymore because my food sensitivity test told me that I don't like it. Like, it causes inflammation in my body. It doesn't necessarily for everybody, but it does for me. So I use Teachino now in the morning instead, which tastes just like coffee, and it's just a whole bunch of other things and that taste similar to it, but it doesn't have caffeine in it. I'm going to share that recipe soon because I promised so many of you guys that I would, because you guys all know that you're addicted to coffee because you have other problems. Okay, so that's number one. And at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about which coconut oil I prefer, because not all coconut oils are treated alike. So there are some that are a lot more healthy than other ones. And, do you buy virgin coconut oil? Do you buy like the filtered kind? Whatever. I'm going to have a link for that below. And then I'm also going to give you guys the best deal on coconut oil. The specials are always changing, but right now there's a really good one, so I'm going to share that. That's why I'm doing the video. Number two, I use it for a fat-burning energy source. And one of the things that you've heard with the FDA is that saturated fat is so bad for you. Limit your amount of saturated fat, which is total bullshit. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I have a clean mouth today. It's total lie. You need fat to formulate a thought, to make hormones, to burn more fat, but you just need the healthy fat, not like the trans fat. What you need is MCTs, which are medium chain triglycerides. And what those are is they're rapidly metabolized, and they actually don't require bile for absorption, which is amazing for people who don't have their gallbladders, like who've had them removed, which there's a whole nother theory, but that's my dad. He had his gallbladder removed. And also for people who have really congested livers, or even genetic methylation detoxifying, lack of ability to get toxins out of the body. That's me. I actually have what's called the MTHFR gene. I am double homozygous for it, which means that I have a reduced capability of detoxifying toxins from my body. And so if you have that gene, it's also a very good thing that you're consuming this coconut oil instead, because it doesn't require a lot of the work to break down, because it's super easy to absorb, because it's directly taken up in the liver, unlike other fatty acids would actually have to go through the lymphatic system and then get broken down. So if you have like congestion in your lymphatic area, or you're struggling for lymphatic drainage, if you're swollen there, I actually have some swelling in my lymph nodes, so it's a really good thing for people like us, as opposed to other fats. They're really also useful if one's trying to induce ketosis, which means that you're trying to burn fat for fuel, not just for vain reasons to get less fat on the body and on the frame, but also for people who have cancer, because toxins are stored in our fat cells, and our body actually makes more fat cells if we're more toxic. So if you're trying to induce ketosis, it's a really, really good thing to consume coconut oil. And it also provides a very powerful source of brain fuel. Like, we need fat to think. So people who have like Alzheimer's and other neurodegeneration, it's a really good thing. If you have dementia, if you have grandparents who can't think right, or if you just have brain fog in general, which is a lot of people, I hear them say, I just can't think right anymore. Our brain is made of like half fat. Like, half of our brain is fat. So if you have brain fog, eat more fat. Fat doesn't make you fat. Trans fat and carbohydrates like grains and sugars make us fat. Coconut oil will make you wicked smart. Cool? All right. Number 3, I use it for baking like all the time. The main ingredient in my 4-ingredient favorite fudge recipe of all times, it's on my website that I'll put below, is coconut oil. You should watch this sucker get whipped up in like the KitchenAid. It's amazing. I also use it to put on my pans to bake eggs in the morning, like fry my eggs or something, or just anything that requires oil because it makes a really sweet taste on anything that you're cooking. And number 4, this last couple weeks I used it in my gallbladder cleanse. Now the standard 3 ingredients are typically grapefruit juice and Coca-Cola. I know, it's the only thing I ever use Coke for, but it's necessary in this one time. And then you would also use extra virgin olive oil, but I have a food sensitivity to olive oil and olives, so I actually use coconut oil instead. It tasted really, really amazing. So I will be sharing the gallbladder cleanse recipe soon. If you have stones, like if you have gallbladder stones, if you struggle in the past, if you had those, this is something that I definitely recommend that you do. And you could use coconut oil or any other oil, but coconut oil tastes really good. And let's see here. I also love using it on my hair. When I traveled the world a year and a half ago, I didn't have any other alternatives. And actually in India and Thailand, places like that, they don't sell a lot of these chemicals that we have in America. So I actually bought a bottle of coconut oil in India that was sold as a hair leave-in conditioner. That's crazy, huh? It was super cheap too. And that one bottle lasted me for a very long time because I used it in my hair. My hair grew like exponentially. Like I have too much hair now. Many people are complaining about not enough hair. So try that. Try coconut oil in your hair as a leave-in conditioner. And then also I use it on my face before I go to bed at night. If you put it on your face before you go to bed at night as opposed to those other like 30 toxic ingredient chemicals that you're putting typically in one moisturizer, you're gonna have like 30 chemicals you can't even pronounce. And they're typically toxic for you. So instead of doing that, just use coconut oil. I promise your skin is gonna be glowing like crazy. And I just use it before I go to bed. I don't use it in the morning before my makeup and stuff because then it can be a little bit greasy. But before you go to bed, it's great. I also use it in my toothpaste because oil pulling is something you may have heard of too. So oral infections are a huge predominant cause of digestive problems, and that's something that Dr. Weston A. Price about 50 or so years ago made that correlation. And so many dentists have been using things like this now instead, like holistic dentists. So oil pulling is you take like maybe a tablespoon or so, maybe like a teaspoon depending on the size of your mouth, put it in your mouth, and rinse like that, and like not just rinse, but push the oil through your teeth. I actually have an oral infection in my teeth, in my gums, so I always use coconut oil to pull the bad bacteria out of my mouth so that you don't get swollen or diarrhea or all kinds of other gastric disruption or IBS, or I do have SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and I think that has a lot to do with my oral infection. So I have it in my toothpaste, and I also use it for oil pulling. And if we have gut problems, we have a lowered immune system, we also have chronic fatigue and all sorts of other things that Americans are struggling with today that we hear so much that is not common, but it's not normal, but it's very common. All right, so let's see. Okay, so the other things that you could use on your skin, use it for, like I said, I use it as a moisturizer. I use it also as deodorant. So it's instead of all the like bad aluminum and all those heavy metals, and parabens and phthalates that contribute to, you put this stuff in your armpits, and that's right close to your boobies. So, I mean, guys or girls, you put that stuff here, and it's going to contribute to all kinds of heavy metal toxicity in your breasts, or just spread to other places of your body. So reduce your chemical overload and just use coconut oil, right? I've actually got a recipe on that one coming up soon too. Now the other 2 things that I've used coconut oil for in the last 2 weeks. Number 1, I do coffee enemas every single week. And what you have to do with coffee enemas, you could do green grass enemas too. You could do wheatgrass enemas if you're sensitive to coffee, like I am. So sometimes I'll do, wheatgrass instead. But anyway, you have to insert a tip into your rectum. And so in order to make that a little bit easier, and you have to put your mature hat on right now to hear this part, put your mature hat on. So you put a little coconut oil on the tip of that and you insert it into your rectum, and it's a little bit easier to get in. And then you just kind of hang out and lay there for 15 minutes, and I swear to you, it is the biggest back pain reliever ever. For me, like my stomach goes down, I get super flat, I can see my 6-pack abs. So hey, there's a secret, 6-pack abs just thrown into the coconut oil video. The other thing that I used it for recently, don't tell anyone, is for a sexy time lubricant. Maybe that's TMI for you guys. But anyway, 70% of Americans need lubricants during sex because a lot of us are too dry for it. And I'm just speaking for women right now because in order to have good sex, you have to have a little bit of lubrication, right? And right now, the original formulas of KY and Astroglide, they are just chock full of petrochemicals and preservatives, and those contain glycerin and parabens. And those chemicals really disrupt the vaginal flora of our environment in our lady garden. Glycerin causes yeast infections that like 1 out of 3 women suffer from every year. Parabens cause irritation in many women and actually have been inconclusively linked to cancer. So parabens are estrogen mockers, and those are things that make it seem as though we have more estrogen in our lady garden than otherwise would be. They're not real estrogen. So it leads to estrogen dominance, and things that like cancerous things like PCOS is caused by estrogen dominance in that area. And so people are wondering, like, why do I all of a sudden have ovarian cysts and things like that? Well, guys, really be conscious about what you're putting inside of yourself, not just on yourself, not just feeding yourself, but inside when you're having sex and things like that too, or pleasuring your partner, or whatever that is. So it's just definitely one thing to consider if you want to stay away from STDs and UTIs and HIV and all sorts of other contracted diseases that we get down there. Okay, that's a big one. And I know that's kind of embarrassing for me to talk about, but hey, I have to share this with you. It's my job. Okay, and then the last 3 things is sometimes you get a little allergic reaction to certain things around you. We can't help it. There's like 100,000 chemicals around us today. So if you have a little bit of allergy, all you do is take some coconut oil and rub it on the inside of your nose, and that will help out with maybe reducing your sneezing or blowing your nose and all that stuff. Also, people are always talking about rubbing all the sunscreen in your face to protect the sun, the damaging rays of the sun. The sun is not damaging us. The chemical crap that we're putting on our face to protect ourselves from the harmful sun rays, it's what's killing us. No chemicals in your face. Stop doing that. You could rub a little bit of coconut oil in your face for like an SPF 4, but the biggest thing to understand is you can actually create your own SPF and sun protection from the inside out by consuming healthy fats like coconut oil, because it's important to understand the body needs healthy fats like we've already talked about, including these saturated fats to regenerate skin tissue. And these fats are like the bricks for a brick wall. So those are the preferred building blocks for building skin and collagen. So it really helps to increase sun tolerance and avoid burning of the skin. So as they say, if these are the building blocks for healthy skin, then if you eat this, you'll be a brick house. You'll be mate. Okay, I need to stop. This is definitely not Saturday night karaoke. Anyway, moving on, I'm not going to quit my day job. Number 10, and this is the last one. There is also some evidence that coconut oil will help digestion, like I talked about earlier, and will help to kill intestinal parasites and yeast inside of the body, which normalizes the population of good guys to bad guys in the gut, which is otherwise known as dysbiosis, when the bad guys have taken over the good guys. And that happens when you're taking too many antibiotics or other pharmaceuticals. The good guys start to take over the bad guys, and you start to have poor digestion and all kinds of other cascade of other crappy symptoms that you have in the body. So I think that's 10. I'm going to have a second video on this probably later on. I will talk about some of the other ones, but I'm going to put information below on why coconut oil is healthy for you, which ones are the preferred ones, which brand, what to look for, and then I've got a big time special that I'm going to link for you guys below. The specials are always pretty much going on, but this one's huge right now, so I'm going to include it below. I want to save you guys money and also help you with your health tips. So this is a really good video, and I hope you share it with a bunch of other people. And please list below other things that you use coconut oil for, because this definitely is one of the superfoods. You need to have this in your house at all times. So if you have any questions, put them below. Thank you so much for watching my treadmill tips, and I hope you enjoy, Wellness Warriors. Peace and coconut oil grease. Hey,